Okay, let's go.
This is just a way for you and I to communicate.
I see.
The YouTube thing. If I never hit start, it doesn't really matter. Even well,
okay.
I guess it's a good backup in case my file, bugs out on me. But
All right.
But there,
All right.
we're good now. You happy? All right,
yes, I'm happy. Let's go.
Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss The Disaster Artist, Coco, and the 5 best worst films, or the best worst films, right? Because of the way it doesn't really work at all. If I say the best worst films, no, if I say the worst, you know what? We're going to talk about a bunch of crappy movies. Here's the thing: Matt's seen Star Wars, and I have not seen it yet, and he is chomping at the bit to talk about it, but he can't. In fact, every time he tries to, if he mentions anything, he's going to get this.
That's what I deserve.
Not allowed to talk about it.
But that's what you deserve for not having seen it yet. What the hell? You're killing me, dude.
I'll see it in a couple days, and I guess there's a lot to talk about, Matt, because the audience seems to hate it. And I don't. You know what I say to that? Well, who knows? Maybe I'll agree. By the time I walk out of that thing, maybe you know what? Those people are right. Though I don't know what they're talking about. I have a lot of Matt knows though. He's seen it and it's driving him nuts, but it's okay. And the best part, wait for this more. Half of my notes were gone for this show. Awesome. So in the immortal words of Papa Bear, we're going to do it live. I am going to go off of memory there for some of the discussion. We'll let Matt handle the heavy lifting. So there's a lot to get through too. Matt, a couple corrections as well. That Patti LaBelle thing from last week, that happened like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I thought we should clarify that. And then finally,
like 20 years ago, but still.
It's pronounced Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, okay.
She was on a particularly strong episode of Saturday Night Live, and they did the whole opening thing about how you pronounce her last name. So again, that is Saoirse Ronan, and she's Irish. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, I knew she was Irish. I just could not pronounce that name. There you go.
Saoirse.
So I've learned something today. Saoirse.
And looking at it now, it makes perfect sense to me. Not really. All right, Matt, let's talk about The Disaster Artist. Here's a little clip about a movie about possibly the best movie of all time.
Tommy, hey.
Hey.
Who's this?
This is Amber, who I was telling you about.
Oh, girlfriend.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't have time for this. I'm very busy right now. I have to change really quickly and go.
Okay, is everything all right?
Yeah, everything great on my end. You heard of Konstantin Stanislavski?
Of course, yeah. He's like the greatest acting teacher of all time.
Yeah, and now he taught me acting teacher. He seemed nothing special in me, maybe, I become big star. So I have first class this evening.
Well, pretty sure Stanislavski's dead.
No, he's not dead. I just speak to him for your information. What do you think I speak to, girls?
No.
Okay, I'll let you know how it is, babyface. Maybe you can join me someday.
Maybe I will.
Not so good.
So, Matt, that's a clip from The Disaster Artist. Matt, why don't you tell the folks at home what Disaster Artist is all about? And then finally, explain to me why, though I enjoyed this film, at the end I was, all right, kind of left me blank.
Okay.
So those are your two missions.
So this is, I will do what I can. I got the first one. So, called by Greg Sestero, who is played by Dave Franco in this film, and it's essentially the story of Greg meeting Tommy Wiseau, an enigma wrapped inside a mystery of Hollywood, who decides to create their own movie, The Room, which, if you know anything about bad movies, this is considered probably the best bad movie of all time. It's been called the Citizen Kane of bad movies, and this is basically the story of that film getting created.
Yes, exactly. So my second question for you really is, all right, I'll share my thoughts. So I think it's a loving homage to the classic film The Room. I think that you can tell that everybody involved has a very deep affection for this thing. And it is, in a way, it is a work of art, The Room. It is in its badness and its ineptitude. And I think that's the key. I think, Matt, we've always said with bad films is you can't set out to make one. Because you have to have the passion, you have to have the dedication to make something. And then if it turns out horrible and just disastrous as The Room is, then you get your cult status. Then you have your your really good bad movie. Well, we'll talk about other examples as we rattle off our 5 favorite bad movies later on. So I think overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I laughed quite often. But at the end, I'm still struggling as to why I felt like I didn't care at all about anything I had just spent an hour and a half watching. I was kind of left like, all right, well, I'm really struggling with this thing, and I can't figure out what it is. Do you have any ideas, Matt? Help me out. I don't know what to necessarily do.
I think I do have an idea. So, I mean, as you stated, this is something that everybody involved deeply cared about. And I watched this. I've watched James Franco give interviews about this, and he had actually never seen the Room. He came to it from reading Greg Sestero's book, and him reading the book is what made him want to actually seek out the film and decide to make this film.
Whoa. Wait a minute. Why would you read that book? Like, in what universe do you pick that book up? Or do you even, if you haven't seen the film?
Right.
Am I wrong? Does that sound weird? It sounds weird to me. It's like saying, listen, I've never listened to David Bowie's Low, but let me pick up this book on how the album was made. Why would
The Room, it's so, I mean, even if you've never seen it, if you're into movies at all, you've heard of it, and you've probably seen the highlights or lowlights of it, and not hit her. You've seen all that stuff, so James Franco, he's a weird.
Yeah, just to interrupt, unfortunately, as the internet cut out, Matt romantically reinterpreted the "Lisa, you're tearing me apart" thing. And I am sorry for the listeners at home that you did not get to see. Maybe we can get Matt to redo it later on.
Maybe.
So I guess you're right. I mean, culturally, and I think it's interesting because last week on Twitter, I posted a poll: which film had more cultural impact? The number one, not adjusted for inflation, box office film of all time of Avatar, or The Room, which has had more of an impact. And I would say The Room, hands down. More people, I think, it's impacted the culture more than Avatar has. Now, granted, there's no the Room theme ride park thing at Disney like there is an Avatar, or maybe that's Universal Studios. But when you talk to people in general, I think The Room comes up in conversation much more often than Avatar does.
Right. Well, and to James Franco's point, I mean, the Room was made 14 years ago. People are still talking about The Room. People are still going to screenings of The Room. Like we've said many times on the show, nobody's talking about Avatar anymore, except for the fact that they can't believe that James Cameron's trying to make more of them.
Well, from what I read too,
cares.
A little sidebar in the Avatar is that Hollywood doesn't really even care.
Right.
It's not the films they're into; it's the next leap in cinema technology is what they're excited about with the next couple films.
Right.
And I bet you too. I wonder how they're going to do. If I had to do a quick call it, or like a what are the odds, I should say, that the next Avatar films do as well as the original, I would say maybe 30%. I just don't know if it's been too long.
Yeah, it's been a really long time.
And they weren't that good to begin with. It wasn't that good to begin with.
It was not. That is what I think. That's what everybody. Well, I guess that's what everybody remembers because nobody talks about it. It's not a good film. It is very. It's a bad film. It's a bad film.
But everybody, it's the technology. So maybe that's what'll push people to go see it again. But we're not talking about Avatar, Matt. We're talking about the Franco brothers tackling the disaster artist. I think. So I still don't think I have an answer to my question. So go ahead. Where were you as I derailed you?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the reason that you're underwhelmed by this is that there's a lot of effort and there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of skill put into this. But at the end of the day, all that effort is about something that doesn't really matter at all. Mm-hmm. And it walks really a fine line of, is this telling the story because they love it, or are they making fun of this guy who obviously is completely inept? And I think that's really that's what I would think that you're struggling with.
I don't think. No, that's interesting. I think maybe your first point may be correct. The second one, I don't think they're making fun of him at all. Mm-hmm. I think they're just enamored with this film, much like I am, much like millions of people are. The thing is just bizarre. If you haven't seen The Room, I'm telling you, kids, outside of the gratuitous nudity, it's something to behold. It is just so incredibly inept, yet endearing at the same time. I think, I don't know. So I think they gather a lot of great people for this thing. I'm a big fan of Nathan Fielder. If you haven't seen Nathan For You at all on Comedy Central, absolutely brilliant show. He's in this. Josh Hutcherson shows up from what you call it there. He was in the Hunger Games, right? Yep. He plays Denny. And I like to, they do a good job of kind of examining all the crazy stuff that happens in the film, you know, like the one when they're watching the movie and they said, what is their relationship exactly with Denny? You know, it's, so they do kind of tackle the important, hard-hitting questions of The Room.
Right.
But it's, I don't know. I basically just at the end of it, I felt like I'd rather just watch The Room for the 12th, 15th time.
Really? I don't know. I probably would watch this film again. I think that's my. I'm a big fan of James Franco, and I don't know why I like James Franco so much, but I do, just because he's willing to commit to these things so much. Yeah. And he's just a weird guy, and I like it. I had a good time. I had a good time watching it. I thought it was funny. You know, I thought all of the cameos, just the slew of comedic cameos, is just amazing. How all the people they got to bring into this thing, and. You know what? I would, if you've never seen The Room, I would almost say watch The Disaster Artist first and then go watch The Room. And maybe you'll appreciate it more.
Yeah, okay. So you're going the Franco route.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
You just like to drive me crazy. All right. I think that's fine. The Disaster Artist. It's good. I just don't. I don't know. This thing's got pretty much universal acclaim out there in the Hollyweirds. Am I right? Yeah, 93%. So I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. I laughed out loud quite a few times. It's just at the end of it, like I said, I just felt kind of like, all right, whatever. Mm-hmm. Not that I was expecting some big revelatory moment, like my life was going to be changed. Like the first time I, watched a movie that I can't name anymore, or it was a big film that turned around. Pulp Fiction was one of the things that did. There was not that I was expecting that either. Matt, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I'm going to give The Disaster Artist a B- is what I'm going to do.
Wow, that's pretty low. I'm going to give this thing an A-. I think Chris is wrong on this one. Go out and enjoy it, folks, because there's not a film like this, especially right now. There's not a film like this out there.
And I think maybe part of the issue too is this thing had been really built up for me. I was looking forward to this one for a while, being such a fan of The Room. And maybe that's it. Maybe my expectations were too high.
Right. Or maybe it didn't show you anything that you didn't already know.
Could be. Maybe. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on The Disaster Artist. Matt, coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That's December 19th. It is a just gift to people who have Dolby Atmos, which I will soon. Yes.
Such a nerd.
Dunkirk is being released on Blu-ray. Best Buy has a steel book. If you can't, Nolan's Dunkirk, one of the 10 best films of the year. That's all I'm going to say right now. but still quite a trip. What else is coming out, Matt? Mother, Darren Aronofsky's film with let's see, behind the scenes making featurettes, and obviously exclusive to the 4K Blu-rays, Dolby Vision, as well as the Dolby Atmos. Mother, Matt, I feel like I want to watch Mother again. I know it was a strange film.
It is a strange film, for sure.
But I do think I want to check in with it again, and maybe that will be the key to success of Mother. Maybe I'll appreciate it even more.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from the Dolby Atmos is Leatherface. They did a. Did you know they made a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie this year?
I knew they were doing it. I didn't realize it came out.
Here and gone. Now's your chance to pick up the Blu-ray Leatherface.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be fun. Includes 6 deleted scenes, an alternate ending. You can answer my calls for me, please, intern. You're not supposed to have the phone ring. Son of a bitch. Stronger, the Jake Gyllenhaal film about the gentleman who unfortunately lost his legs in the Boston bombing. That is being released as well on Blu-ray. And then they were releasing a 4K Nolan collection, Matt, which includes all 3 Batman films, The Prestige, Inception, Interstellar, and Dunkirk. I would pick this up, but it is cost prohibitive. It is, I think, about $150 right now. Which, I guess, for all those films in 4K isn't unreasonable. That's 7 movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, still.
Yeah,
Plus, I don't know if I need
especially
the 4K of Inception or the Batman films, or.
Right.
And I have all these on Blu-ray as it is. So, well, actually, no, I have the Prestige on DVD. I never upgraded Prestige. And the big release this week, Matt, the one I know you're waiting for, is Suspiria. Is getting released on Blu-ray from Synapse. It's a special steel book. Also, there's a 3-disc set, Matt, 2 Blu-rays, and 1 is the CD soundtrack. There's only 6,000 of these babies being released. I have one reserved at my local, and I shouldn't say local because they're everywhere, baby. Just look them up online, grindhousevideo.com. Matt, this place is like half a mile from my house.
Really? Pretty cool.
And it's a great store. If you haven't been, check them out online or just stop on in when you're in Tampa. Hit me up. I'll buy you a beer. But still, this 4K restoration, they found an old print of it and they licensed it out, and Synapse did a new scan of it here. Includes the original English sound mix not heard since the film was released originally in 1977. There's also a high-resolution DTS Italian 5.1 surround mix, 2 audio commentaries, behind-the-scenes feature making, tons of stuff here, man. Alternate all-English opening and closing credits, newly translated English language version. I mean, if you're a fan of Suspiria and if you're a fan of horror, you certainly should be.
Right.
This has been like one of the holy grails of Blu-ray for a while now for horror fans, and it's finally out, so you can pick that up. Now, it's pricey, Matt. It's about $50.
Wow.
So you can sit on it, and I'm thinking about a year they'll just release a standalone version where you just get the movie and a couple features if you want,
right? And
that'll probably be half the price. Straight to DVD pick of the week, Matt, is Headhunter. I chose this because I clearly remember seeing the video or the box for this when I was a kid. It's the green guy with white eyes, and he's kind of slimy. If you saw it, I think you'd remember it.
Okay.
It's a code red release. A voodoo demon from Africa arrives amongst Miami's Nigerian community, as well as Pastor Bobby's Miami Baptist Pentecostal Holiness Assemblies. That's a lot. It begins decapitating people and possessing others. A tough Miami cop who recently found out his wife has a female lover investigates the murders with his female partner. Steve Cannelly also stars in the suspense thriller. Features Wayne Crawford, June Chadwick, Kay Lenz. Just horrible, horrible stuff. Matt, what should we be streaming this week?
You know what? I know we mentioned it last week, but I don't care. I'm gonna mention it again this week. I'm gonna go with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's out on Netflix right now. I think third best comic book film of the year. Follows the adventures of Star-Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy as they deal with Ego, the living planet. Yes, I said living planet, folks. And you'll just have to watch and see how they even managed to pull that off. What do you think? After we've seen all the comic book movies of this year, where do you rank Guardians of the Galaxy of what we've seen this year?
So that's Wonder Woman, Logan, Spider-Man.
Yep.
And what am I forgetting?
Thor and Justice League.
There was a Justice League movie this year? I think Thor's 1 for me at the moment.
Okay.
Which is a crazy thing for me to say, considering my utter disdain for the Thor films previously. So. And then probably Wonder Lady. And
really? Wonder Woman that high?
I enjoyed it. And it was a good DC film, Matt. Come on.
Yeah, you're gambling. Okay, disregard that, folks. That's not true. That's Chris being biased.
And I think I would probably put Guardians above Spider-Man.
Would you? I
think I would.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man for me is, even though, well, Keaton is great in it, but the film is so empty. It's cotton candy. You know, like right now, I'm struggling to remember a single thing about that thing except for Michael Keaton.
Really? Man, well, I could not disagree more. I would say Thor.
That's because you're a Spider-Man geek.
Exactly. So you would put Wonder Woman, which is completely wrong, at number 2. And I'm going to put Spider-Man at number 2. And I actually would probably put Logan above Guardians because I did watch Guardians again.
I forgot about Logan. Yeah.
So I would put like Wonder Woman at like 5.
Whatever. And Justice League's at the bottom for you, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, without a doubt. Not even close. I would be okay if I never saw Justice League again in my life. I would watch all of those others.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, we could maybe do a serious discussion about that later. Did you want to talk about the Marvel, the Fox Disney thing at all then?
Yeah. So it's the rumor that's been going around Hollywood for a while is that 20th Century Fox was selling off its entertainment division, was looking for the highest bidder, and Rupert Murdoch, he was going to keep the sports and news division, but the entertainment was going to be sold off. And the rumor was that Disney was going to buy it. And then it was that Disney's not going to buy it. And then it came back out that, you know what, Disney is actually going to buy this. Now, the fanboy in me thinks this is the best thing that's ever happened because we get the X-Men back under Marvel. We get the Fantastic Four back under Marvel.
Marvel solves its villain problem, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, has Dr. Doom, has access to Magneto, which is all of this is just fantastic. But from a more practical standpoint, I'm a little concerned because this is like Demolition Man stuff, like where all movies are going to be made by Disney going forward.
Yeah.
I think even James Mangold was saying he disagrees with this, not because he thinks that, and he's the director of Logan, that he thinks that the movies that will get made, he's not worried about the comic book movies getting made. He thinks those characters will be in even better hands than they are now. But what he's concerned about is all we're going to get is sequels and comic book movies and these big blockbusters, and we're not going to get the smaller films from the big studio houses, which I think is a valid concern. And just for the stuff that Disney's pulled with Last Jedi, the restrictions they put on it and kind of the demands they put on it, the theater owners and stuff, I'm concerned about what they're going to do going forward because they're going to be producing like basically 40% of the movies that are big budget.
Yeah, I think that's the part to be concerned about. The independent thing I'm not as worried about because they're still going to maintain the other lines. What is it called? It's not Fox 2000 anymore, is it?
Fox Searchlight.
Searchlight, thank you. So they're still going to keep that going. And they did say that they're not going to water down Deadpool at all. They're going to continue it to be a rated R film. I think the problem is going to be what they've done with Jedi.
Yeah,
which they're going to exert control. If you want to watch our movie, you're going to have to keep it in a minimum of 3 of your theaters. It's going to have to be in the IMAX for the case for 5 weeks.
Right.
We're going to demand 50 or 60% of the profits longer than you would normally would. And it's going to hurt a lot of the theaters. If you have a mom and pop theater in a small town that is able to get these bigger films, it could seriously hurt you.
Right.
Possibly even shut you down.
Right.
So I think that is the danger, is that they're going to have such a stranglehold over the presentation of these films, how much they can charge for the tickets. Yep. I mean, it is a concern. Disney they have a reputation like Apple, basically, right, of being a benevolent dictator for the most part in their area. But it's not. It wouldn't take much for the push. And in fact, like Disney's done with Jedi, they've already exerted a little more of that than perhaps they really should. Yeah. So that's what's to be concerned. As a superhero movie fan, you would be dancing in the streets, but that dance should be short-lived because the dangers of this, air quotes dangers, though may eventually outweigh the benefits.
Yeah, and and that basically means the big movie studios that are left are Disney, Universal, and Paramount. Is that the other big one at this point?
Sony, no?
And Sony, yeah. And Sony has been talked about they're selling off their entertainment division. Can you imagine if Disney buys Sony too? Even though they would get the Spider-Man back full time, which I would love. I mean, that would be so bad if they it would they could charge anything they wanted to for these movies, and we would go and pay it because what else would we do?
I was wondering too. What's to stop that? How far away do you think we are from $20 a ticket? Because right now for IMAX or Dolby on a Friday night, you're paying what, $15, $16, I think, right? Each.
Yeah.
Are we 3 years away? 5? I'd say 4. I'd say we're 5 years away from the 4th Avengers film in just straight general format being probably $20. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. God,
is it worth it? Would it still be worth it, that price?
It'd have to be a special film, really, to go to pull me out. It's something that I feel like I'd have to see. Either I was so geeked out I wanted to see it immediately, or it's something I felt like I had to see on the big screen.
They should include
less nice.
I think they do for some films. They do this now, rarely, but they should include a digital copy with your purchase or something too.
Yeah.
For something say, here's your movie is going to be, it's $25 to go see Avengers, and Infinity Volkswagen Rabbit, and you but you get a digital copy of the film, 6 months or something.
Right.
I don't know, but does that kind of undercut the after screening money? Are they going to lose money for that way because everything's shifting digitally anyway? You know what? Never mind. I'm full of poop. All right. So in the end, Matt, would you make that decision? Would you, if you could control? So you're Johnny Hollywood, you're president of Hollywood.
Yes.
Would you want this to happen, or would you stop it?
I think I would let this deal go through, but I would certainly not. I wouldn't let them buy any more studios. I mean, I could see Universal or something buying Sony if it got up there. But I mean, even then, I mean, I can't imagine even the feds would let them buy another studio.
Yeah, there are antitrust laws out there. We'll see. All right, and then there's one other thing I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Lady Bird.
Yes.
Had a 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes. One of the few films to ever have it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There is a critic who gave it... Oh, that son of a bitch. He changed it.
He did?
Yes, he did. That... All right. Let me tell you a little story, folks. There is a critic named Cole Smithy. And he is a member of the Online Film Critics Society, has his own websites, come out of Manhattan. It's not like I'm telling you to go beat the guy up. I don't know why I'm giving you all this personal info. I'm just reading it off of Rotten Tomatoes. All right, everybody calm down. Cole Smithy gives Lady Bird a B-. Funny thing, though, about Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of people might not know, is they give the critics the option to certify something fresh or rotten. So I did not know that. You give them a grade, and then they ask you, all right, well, Matt Howell, hack critic of the first run, would you certify Lady Bird as fresh or rotten? Cole says Lady Bird is a B- film, which we don't have to spend a lot of time on how ridiculous that is. But he says it's a B- film, certifies it rotten. Wow. His argument, in context, Lady Bird does not deserve to be 100% rated film on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. Because he thought it was a B-.
Okay.
So he took it upon himself to be the one review in the galaxy that gave Lady Bird a rotten score. He has since changed his rating to a C+. To, I guess, try and to bolster his argument.
Okay.
I want to give you a little context, Matt. Just just a couple films he's reviewed. Logan. You want to guess what he gave it?
D?
F.
What?
Baby Driver.
Oh my God! Don't even. If it's anything less than a B minus, I'm coming through the screen.
C minus.
Oh my God!
Dunkirk.
I don't even want to know.
F.
So how can anybody take
Wonder
this guy
Woman,
seriously?
Wonder Woman is an F. Kong Skull Island, C minus. Well, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think I gave Kong. I gave a little higher than that though. Let's see. Moonlight, Best Picture 2016. C minus.
Wow.
La La Land, C plus. This is what we're talking about. All right. But I think it's not even his warped view of things, and just totally. I know kind of it's subjective. I get that. But then there are critics like this, like Cole, and then was it Rex Reed, who just contrary just to do it.
Yeah.
The same thing here with Lady Bird, and it just drives me crazy. They should just negate his review, especially since he originally gave it a B minus and took it upon himself as the moral arbiter of all things movie criticism. To say it doesn't deserve its 100% score. I just don't understand it. This is why, Matt, this is why I hate people. This is why I have trust issues.
Because of this guy?
Yes. Well, but people like him.
All right. Well, I obviously he's a blowhard and he doesn't know what he's talking about and nobody takes him seriously. And he's just, he's just being contrary, really. Not to say that we're not guilty of that sometimes, but we know it's really with each other. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna drive down to Manhattan. No, I'm not. And then I'm gonna,
it's TP's apartment.
Yeah, but TP's apartment. That's right. I'm gonna egg it. I'm gonna egg his building.
Whatever. It's just this hack critic. It just bothered him.
He's giving the rest of us hack critics a bad name. Damn.
That's what I'm saying. I was talking about myself there. I was speaking about myself in the third person. All right, Matt. Let's move on. Let's move on to happier
sure
subjects. Let's talk about Coco. Here's a clip.
Mira, they're setting up for tonight. The music competition for Dia de Muertos. You want to be like your hero? You should sign up.
My family would freak.
Look, if you're too scared, then well, have fun making shoes. Come on, what did De La Cruz always say?
Seize your moment?
Show me what you got, muchacho. I'll be your first audience.
Miguel!
Abuelita!
What are you doing here?
You leave my grandson alone.
Doña, please. I was just getting a shine.
I know your tricks, Mariachi. What did he say to you?
He was just showing me his guitar.
Shame on you. My grandson is a sweet little angelito querido cielito. He wants no part of your music, Mariachi. You keep away from him.
All right, so Matt, Pixar returns with Coco. Story of a young boy whose family has banned him from just listening to music, playing music, just experiencing music in any form, really, because his great-great-grandfather left his great-great-grandmother behind to pursue a career in music. It's the Días de Muertos, was it the Day of the Dead in Mexico, where they honor their relatives that have passed. And Coco is desperate to partake in a contest that you just heard a little bit of, where he'll be able to prove to his family that music's actually okay. It's basically the Pixar version of Footloose. And he, by stealing this sacred and magical guitar, he's actually able to walk between two worlds. He actually gets trapped in the land of the dead and has to accomplish something before dawn, or he'll be trapped there forever and become a dead boy, a real dead boy. So Matt, we've had some issues with Pixar as of late, specifically the fact that we had to wait what, 14 years for an incredible sequel.
Right.
But more the issue of the Cars and Planes franchise, which they clearly just churning out in the interim to keep the studio afloat and make some money.
Right.
Well, they deliver stuff like Coco, Matt. Another home run for Pixar.
Okay.
You know what? If this is what we're gonna get, then give me another ridiculously bad Cars movie that I just won't watch.
There you go.
And as long as I continue to get this kind of quality entertainment, the Wall-E's, the Toy Story films, then I think I'm all on board. Matt, I absolutely love this thing. It is downright magical. It really is. There's some beautiful shots in this. I don't know if that's the way you just some beautiful illustrations. The way this thing looks, it's just overflowing with imagination. It actually reminded me of what it was like to be a kid, to see something like this on the big screen. I absolutely adored it. Some fantastic voice acting as well, and some twists and turns and stuff that I relatively didn't see coming. I think I figured out the big plot twist probably about a half hour in.
Sure.
But still, exceptionally well done, heartwarming, and I think I only cried 2 or 3 times max. Especially at the end.
Yeah.
If you're not crying at the end of this film, then I think you're a psychopath. So there's something up with you. I don't know what it is. You have no empathy.
Fair. That's not fair.
You can't feel that.
That's harsh. That's a harsh criticism. I don't cry.
All right, John Wayne. What do you think of Coco? Am I right? Is this another home run for Pixar, or is this more of a Finding Dory, which is good, fine? Yeah. Or is it even worse?
No, this is not in the same league as Planes or any of the. This is definitely top tier Pixar, but it doesn't challenge, I think, the best of Pixar for me, or my favorite Pixar's films, but it's very, very, very good. Like Chris said, I didn't know very much about the Day of the Dead. I mean, I knew a little bit about it, but I mean, all of the mythology around it and kind of all the rules and the stuff, it was very, very interesting. And I think that I like the fact that that Pixar kind of took this thing that maybe not a lot of people knew about and kind of made it understandable and relatable. It is a little bit of a dark subject.
Yes.
So going into that, I mean, I understand culturally from a different perspective, it's fine, but it's not something that you would think of normally that we kind of expose our kids to in, in American society.
So that's a question I had for you, because you have a daughter. Did you take her to this?
Yes, I did.
What is her age again? What about 15?
She's 6.
I know 6.
Yeah.
So, was she comfortable with everything? Were you okay?
Yeah. I think she was good. She didn't have any questions or anything like that. I think she understands what death is, but I think a lot of the stuff. There's some heavy stuff in this. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I mean, one of the big themes of this, or one of the big crises of this, is that so long after you pass away, and then when there's nobody left to remember you, you kind of disappear or fade, that's a heavy thing for people to think about. I mean, you think about that when you're in your 30s, but that's not something that you think about when you're in first grade, that someday no one's going to remember who you are and nothing matters that you do. So I mean, it's there's some definite heavy themes in there, but I mean, it's good, I guess, to have that kind of stuff, kind of just laid out there, an accessible thing. And as you said, while I didn't cry, it definitely hit me in the feels at the very end. I mean, it waited, instead of pulling it up and like really just kind of breaking me in the beginning. This is more of a Toy Story 3 where it really just kind of socks you in the gut at the very end. So it definitely does have that Pixar moment where it's like, man, this is some heavy feels stuff right here. Although I still didn't cry.
When that picture gets put on the mantle,
yeah,
that was it for me. I was
bawling like a baby.
I'm like, I should have expected it, but still, when it actually happens,
yeah.
Oh, good God! So Gael Garcia Bernal and Benjamin Bratt play. Bernal is Hector Rivera, and Bratt is Ernesto de la Cruz. And I think they're both fantastic in this. Alana Yulbeck too plays the late great grandmother. She's fantastic too. They're all. Like I said, the whole cast is really good. So, but you're right. It definitely has some heavy subjects. Would you not recommend it then for like a certain age group?
No. I mean, I think under a certain age group, they may not understand. I don't know if I think a lot of that's going to go over their head, but that's fine.
Okay.
You know, I think you know, if you're 5, 6, 7 year olds, maybe you may have to have some conversations. But I mean, you know, I wouldn't not expose them to it just because it's something you don't want to deal with.
Expose them to what are you, Roy Moore? So you know, I think that's fine. I think that makes sense to me. Now I agree with you, though. This is top shelf. This is not top tier.
Right.
This is not going to be like. Listen, for me, Wall-E is still my favorite Pixar film.
Yep, me too.
So, and then probably what I'm talking Incredibles, maybe a little Toy Story 2.
Right.
But I don't know if this would hit the top 5, but if it's not, it's right there.
Yeah.
It is right there. So definitely a shoo-in for at least an Academy Award nomination for Best Animated Feature.
Mm-hmm.
Though, to be fair, I haven't seen a lot of animated films this year. You probably have.
I have, yes.
How would you rank this? Would it be the best one you've seen? What else have you seen?
I've seen Boss Baby. Did Trolls come out this year? I think Trolls came out this year. I saw Trolls. I basically seen them all. Yeah, I would say this is probably the best animated film of this year, unless there's some like, you know, more adulty one that I'm not thinking about.
The Lego Batman movie, that was this year, huh? Was that early this year?
Was that this year?
I thought it was last year.
I thought it was last year too.
It says 2017. Yeah, February 10th, 2017.
Wow. Okay. Then yeah, that'll be in there.
All right. You know what? Have you seen a lot of the Leica films? I think I've just seen Coraline.
Yeah, I've just seen.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I've seen Coraline. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean,
Trolls was them too. That's the one you were talking about, or is that a different one?
No, that's a different one. Trolls is the one based, you know, the trolls with the hair.
Oh, the tall dolls with the yeah.
It's a big hit. That was a big hit. It's actually
really
good. Yeah.
What's wrong with people?
Well, I mean, it's actually a pretty good film. It's a cute little film, believe it or not.
Fair enough. Yeah, Leica. I got the set for my niece and nephews for Christmas. So it's Coraline, Paranorman, the Box Trolls. Oh, and Kubu and the Two Strings that came out last year, which is supposed to be fantastic, which I haven't seen. I think it's on Netflix, so I'll have to check it out. Hopefully it's still there. Might not be.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what did we say? Coco, Matt, what are you giving Coco? Because I can't decide.
I think I'm going to go A-. I didn't think that's just in deference to kind of, like you said, it's not, I wouldn't put this in the top 5, but I would probably put it in the top half of the bottom top 5. Top 10. Enough qualifiers there for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I agree. I think A- is a fair score for Coco as well. Still playing at the theaters. Go ahead and check it out. There's nothing important or good that came out this weekend, so I would go ahead and see Coco. I was looking at the seats for Star Wars because I was thinking of going Saturday, and they were like, this is like a week ago, and they were almost all sold out.
Yeah.
Because I want to go see it in Dolby.
God, I cannot wait for next week's show. I have to talk about this. We're going to talk so much about this film. Like, I don't even know if we even need a second film.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we need a second film because I'm gonna talk about this at length.
I think we should. I think there's going to be enough there that we could do a whole show just on Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going Tuesday at noon because I'm hoping for not quite as packed. I've had so many bad experiences, Matt, at blockbuster films lately,
right?
That I don't want to go on the weekends at all anymore. So I'm going to go Tuesday at noon, and hopefully there won't be a lot of people there. We'll see. I'm going Dolby Theater. I was thinking IMAX, but I didn't want to deal with the 3D. I'm so done with 3D.
Yeah.
So I went with the Dolby.
There you go.
Where did you see it in?
It was just a regular old theater. I actually, a friend of mine, her company got them tickets, for their employees, and her husband didn't want to go, so she asked if I wanted to go, and I said yes. So I went. I went to a regular showing.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit next week. Maybe we'll push it off a week. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Oh, you don't even mess with me right now.
All right, man. Let's talk about the best bad movies of all time.
Right.
Matt, are you familiar with Dragon Sound?
I am not. I am not familiar with Dragon Sound.
That's going to be our bed. All right. We discuss the 5 best bad movies.
Okay.
So, and Dragon Sound will come up in my list. If you haven't heard of them, then you don't know one of my films in my list, which is a travesty of epic proportion.
Okay.
But I will go first. We'll give you the ultimate number 1, Matt. So here's our discussion. These are the 5 best bad movies. They're the ones that we go to over and over again for just sheer enjoyment about how bad they are.
Yeah.
You are not. I almost pulled in my Shark Attack 3 Megalodon clip, but as the opening for this, but I decided I'm going to try and keep it as clean as possible.
Okay. All right.
So if you want to, just go to YouTube and search for Shark Attack 3 Megalodon clip. And I guarantee you it'll be the first one that comes out.
I forgot about that.
Possibly one of the greatest lines in the history of cinema. Just don't watch it at work or with your family. All right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is just absolute. Remember a while ago, who was it? The actress who got nominated for an Academy Award. Actually, Anne Hathaway won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. She was in the Les Miserables for like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
She won. That's how good this is. All right, number 5. Number 5 is Birdemic. Matt, have you seen Birdemic?
Yes, I have seen Birdemic. We reviewed it for this show.
Did we?
Yes, we did.
Birdemic, Shock and Terror, James Wynn film. Basically, it's what if you liked the birds, but just hated your life? You would make Birdemic, Shock and Terror. So basically, a bunch of birds go crazy and start attacking this small town. And what's interesting about it is, I don't know if interesting is the right term. I mean, I think one of the things we're going to hear through this whole list, Matt, is universally how it's the acting is atrocious. But what is so just, the chef's kiss of this film is the special effects. When the birds attack people, it's basically like they're just flying in place, and they've been clearly like superimposed on top of the film behind them, right? They're just, that's it. And occasionally, like, one of them will move horizontally or something. It's just really, really bad. Yeah. And that's what it is. So it's absolutely some atrocious performances with some of the cheapest bad effects you've ever seen. So it's a joy if you haven't seen Birdemic. So that's my number 5.
All right. My number 5, I think I'm going to have more big budget disasters that are fantastic on here than Chris does. But my number 5 is actually going to be Showgirls. This is stars Elizabeth Berkley, a.k.a. Jessie Spano, from Saved by the Bell fame. Just really overacting her heart out, trying so hard to make a film basically about a exotic dancer, we'll say exotic dancer, who has ambitions of being a Vegas showgirl, kind of like Flashdance with the lower stakes. And it is just, as Chris said, we're going to mention how bad the acting is in this. I mean, there's lots of gratuitous nudity in this film, but it is just, she is just a revelation of how bad and how seriously she takes this. And Kyle MacLachlan, I think, is in on the joke, and he is a delight to watch this as this film. Obviously, if you have a problem with a lot of exposed boobs, then you're gonna have a problem with this film. But if you can get past that, just watch Jessie Spano overact, and it's lovely. And just wait when she's talking about her ambitions and she's having French fries. It is a sublime scene. It is sublime.
Dare I say, Matt, so good.
It is so good. And directed by Paul Verhoeven, one of our favorite, a director who's made 2 of our favorite sci-fi bad films. But I mean, well, I don't even say those films are bad, but God.
I was going to say, careful. We're going to have another Starship Troopers debate. Well, you and I are both in that it's good camp.
It's awesome. So. It's fantastic. I actually thought about putting it on this list, but then I thought it wouldn't even be fair because it's just a good film. It is not a bad film anyway.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good pick. Yeah, mine are more just of the B movie variety. Though I do in my honorable mentions, I have some bigger films.
Okay.
So number 4, for a lot of people, this is they think is the best bad movie of all time. They're wrong, but it's still a big contender, and that's Troll 2. That's another one we could have used for the opening clip, but I wanted to give my boys Dragon Sound a little love.
Okay.
So Troll 2 has nothing to do with they're not trolls. It's not even a sequel to Troll. And it's these kids, they go what is the name of the town? It's Nilgob. It's Nilbog, because it's goblin backwards.
Yes, that's right.
Nilbog.
Yeah.
It's just it has some absolutely classic like they're eating her, they're gonna eat me or something like no.
Yeah. And I'm next.
It is absolutely a disaster of a film. They made a documentary about it called Best Worst Film, which was on Netflix for a while. I'm not sure if it still is. But still, it is a delight. It's a lot of fun. Again, like all of these films, just some of the worst line deliveries in cinematic history. Yeah. But they're entertaining that they are so bad. I can't get over it. So, yeah. Troll 2 is one of those. When people talk about bad movies, there's always the one that people always kind of name first. That one, of course, in The Room. But there you go. All right, Troll 2. Matt, let's risk him here. I'm floundering. What do you got?
Okay. My number 4 film is by our boy, M. Night Shyamalan, at his lowest. And this is The Happening, a nonsensical film about trees or plants killing off the human race somehow by releasing psychotic pollen that makes people kill themselves. This film makes no sense at all. They try to outrun the wind and not breathe. And Zooey Deschanel and Mark Wahlberg give fantastic. Well, I guess they're really more. I wouldn't say that those actors. They're mannequins that look like those actors because they have absolutely no emotion whatsoever. Just YouTube Mark Wahlberg's delivery as a science teacher, and he's got that whole. How only Mark Wahlberg can do that kind of like gee whiz kind of blank slate. He's got like he's either menacing or he's just blank slate, and he's blank slate throughout this entire film. And it's his look of just absolute surprise in every scene that he's in is just baffling how he managed to do that for the entirety of the film. And it is fantastic. It's so bad. You should definitely check that out if you have not seen it.
Yeah, The Happening is an honorable mention for me. It is atrociously bad, and it makes you think that Wahlberg is a horrible, horrible actor.
Yeah,
that he's a very strong director's hand, because I still think he's good in Boogie Nights.
Yeah,
and he's a lot of fun in the other guys.
Yeah, The Departed. He's good in that.
He's great in The Departed.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also playing, just what Wahlberg does.
Yeah. He's playing menacing Mark Wahlberg.
Exactly. But he is so bad in that film. I can't get over it. It makes you think like that guy should never have another job in his entire career after watching that film.
And it almost sunk M. Night. Like I can just imagine M. Night being like, Mark, Zoe, you're giving too much emotion in this. Be more blank. Just think of toast, and that's what you are while you're giving this. And they just took that to heart. I cannot imagine less expressive people in this entire film.
Yeah, it's horrible. All right, Matt. My number 3 is Samurai Cop.
Ooh, good one.
Samurai Cop. Yeah. You haven't seen it?
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay.
No, I've seen it. Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry. I couldn't hear you there. Gee whiz. So Samurai Cop is the film about a guy. Oh, God, it pains me even to talk about it. But so there's a renegade Japanese gang going around, and they're trying to take over the cocaine trade in LA. So they bring in this guy who's been trained by a martial art master who speaks fluent Japanese. Wink. But he's just this big, beefy kind of California guy with a long flowing hair, and he gets in a turf war with the gangs, and it's It's horrible, absolutely horrible, and it's got some of the greatest, again, some really horrible, fantastic line delivery. One of the worst scripts you'll ever read or see performed. I think one of the saving graces of this thing is Mark Fraser, who plays his partner Frank Washington. There's a particularly beautiful scene when Joe Marshall, who our hero, is trying to pick up a nurse or something, and then the director Amir Shervin, Matt, he just focuses just on Fraser's face, and Fraser's doing this whole. He's looking around with like big eyes, like, "Oh, did he just say that?" type thing, and it's actually like the profile photo I use for certain things online. And but they made a sequel actually just a little while ago. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I want to because I don't want to spoil just the purity that is Samurai Cop. Mm-hmm. And of course, it also includes Robert Z'Dar. If you're not familiar, I think Robert just died recently too. Didn't he die this year? Maybe last year?
I don't know.
But Robert Z'Dar was a one of those that guys, right? He's been in a bunch of B and C movies. He's the guy with the gigantic jaw.
Yeah,
like if you ever see him. So, stuff, just classic stuff. Samurai Cop. That's my number 3.
I recently just saw Samurai Cop on Riff Tracks Live, so they should have it out there for you to go watch it. It is a delight if you're a fan of that kind of thing. All right, so this was on my honorable mentions, but I'm pulling it off the bench. I'm pulling it from the minors, and I'm going to put it in because you've mentioned some of my other ones, and really, how much more do we have to say about some of these things? So I'm going to say the remake of The Wicker Man, starring Nicolas Cage, really being his most Nicolas Cage. Now, this is a man, remember, who won an Oscar, okay, for Leaving Las Vegas. This man is an Oscar-winning actor. And this is really when Cage really kind of tips over the edge, and he's at rock bottom now as an actor, but this is just all the memes that you see about Cage, especially not the bees, that is from the Wicker Man remake. And essentially this is about Nicolas Cage. He's a detective and he's looking for some missing people, and he goes to this secluded, is it an island or is it just out in the country? The secluded community where basically they turn out to be like a bunch of pagan, witches, and they make offerings through burnt offerings and stuff like that. And it is just Cage being his cagiest. And if that intrigues you, you definitely have to see it, at least for the part where he dies at the end. Sorry, spoiler. Cage getting beat to death before he gets put in the Wicker Man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't include it because I hate that film. I don't even know. I couldn't even really enjoy it.
No.
Because, first off, if you haven't seen the original Wicker Man, with Edward Newman and Christopher Lee, it is so good.
It is so good.
When it's just a disgrace, that Cage film. But Werner Herzog almost rescued him with that Bad Lieutenant. What was it, New Orleans?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
He was able to kind of harness the madness of Nicolas Cage for that film, but I think that's no. All right, my number 2 is the music from Dragon Sound, featured in the movie Miami Connection. So Matt, you have not seen Miami Connection.
I have not.
Okay, so there is a group it's a band, the Dragon Sound. It's the band, but they're also martial artists, and they end up kind of getting brought into this, trying to take down a gang of motorcycle riding ninjas, and they have to basically break up the drug ring. But then there's a weird thing where one of the characters halfway through the film finds out that he's finally found his father, so he disappears for a while. And it shows back. I mean, it's got a lot of weird, like lost plot threads, things that don't make any sense. Some truly, as we said before, horrible acting. The music is it's just perfect 80s type stuff. So it is just really bad, but it's a lot of fun. It's written, directed, and stars this guy named YK Kim. And the martial arts, and they just go from like martial arts scene to martial arts scene, and sometimes, but they don't. Nothing makes any sense. It's hard to follow what the plot is at any given time. And of course, they do have the cheesy, awesome '80s stuff. The big songs being "Friends" and then "Against the Ninja," which I think was just playing underneath us. So if you haven't seen Miami Connection, if you get a chance, please do. Draft House was able to rescue this thing, restore it, and put it out there. So you can definitely rent it. I think you can rent it off of iTunes too, and maybe even buy it. But I bought my copy last time Draft House had they had a sale, like 50% off everything. So I picked it up.
Yeah.
So, and you won't be disappointed. If you like bad movies, man, Miami Connection scratches that itch, baby. So check it out.
All right, I'll have to check it out. All right, so my number 2 is Trolls 2. I'm glad you restarted the music for us here. Is Troll 2. As Crystal, I can't really add anything that Chris didn't already say. This is, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Watch the documentary, Best Worst Movie, which is obviously not true, but it is sublime in just how nonsensical and how stupid it is, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the original Troll. This is like a case of almost like Pod People, that classic Mystery Science Theater episode where they just basically pulled something off the shelf and just mashed some more stuff into it to try and make it more coherent, and they failed miserably.
Good pick. So good. We did talk about it. So number 1, Matt, I had to go with it. I had to go with The Room. I had to.
I had to.
There is no better bad film than The Room.
No.
Tommy Wiseau's film is just, like I said before, I think I said it earlier in this show, it is a work of art. It is so bad and it's so inept. It's just something that demands to be seen. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. It doesn't make any sense. Characters kind of appear. There's a whole thing like they talk about it in the film where Lisa's mom mentions she has breast cancer and then it never gets brought up again. I mean, there's just nudity for no reason.
Yeah.
The characters' motivations make no sense. Nothing. I'm at a loss because it's just so weird and so off, and it's beautiful. There's no other way to describe it.
There's really not that much else to say. I mean, this is a big Hollywood movie, and this is it is sublime in its ineptitude, and it's really just, think of it. It's like the portrait of the artist, right? I mean, this thing is a window into the mind of Tommy Wiseau, and it is a scary, just scattered place. Like, I don't even know what the hell he was thinking while he's writing this thing, and he's just trying so hard, and it makes sense to him and nobody else in the world, and it is just beautiful as you watch this thing. Just I would say that every scene that he is in is an earthquake. Every gesture is an earthquake, which you would appreciate because of his love for James Dean.
How dare you? So yeah, easily number 1. All right, Matt. Honorable mentions. I had Shark Attack 3, Megalodon, Manos, Ninja 3, The Domination, The Happening, Stallone and Over the Top. Another chef's kiss. Mwah! Over the top. And Xanadu. And then one thing about Xanadu, it gave us some killer songs. So I will defend that to the death. And then final, what else? Oh, no. What else? Oh, Superman 4. Did I say that yet?
No, you did not.
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. But that's not, I mean, Reeves got suckered on that. If you watch that Canon documentary, they talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah.
It's horrible what happened to that film. And then finally, probably the greatest film on this list that was like a legit movie.
Yeah.
Roadhouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Roadhouse. Roadhouse is fantastic. I don't really have a whole lot to add to your list. The only thing I think that are glaring omissions, you didn't mention Zardoz.
Never seen it. So
you've never seen what?
Zardoz.
You're a Connery fan and you've never seen Zardoz?
Yeah.
Wow.
That outfit has always kept me away.
Okay, well, you need to do yourself. I'll watch Miami Connection. You need to go out and watch Zardoz, and we'll discuss this.
Okay.
And then, of course, you mentioned Stallone and Over the Top, but let's not forget our man Hulk Hogan and No Holds Barred. It is a beauty of 80s nonsense with wrestling. It is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. You have to watch it.
Yeah, I would say the He-Man movie too, but that ends up just being bad.
That is being
it's
bad.
Not
yeah.
even. I watched it again because it was on Netflix for a while, right? So I watched it again. So I almost bought it because Shout Factory put it out on Blu-ray a while back.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. And then probably I'd have to say Cobra, another Stallone classic. When he's eating the pizza, Matt, and he cuts the slice of pizza in half with a pair of scissors. Not even vertically, horizontally. I don't know why. And it's a gang of serial killers. Is that a thing?
No, I don't think so.
So anyway, that's it. Did we miss any? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. All right, enough of the sound dragons. Okay, Matt, what's coming up next week?
What is coming up next week? What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. We'll come up with something.
Yeah.
It'll be Star Wars, The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi? The last one? I'm curious for your thoughts too. After seeing this film, are you confident about Rian Johnson's helming his own trilogy? Don't answer.
I won't. That was a preemptive failure sound. I was going to hold my tongue.
Okay. So, yeah, that'll be the big show next week. Star Wars, right. Star Wars, Star Wars. All right, Matt, let's go ahead and take an extended break. And, what am I doing? I got to tell you how to get a hold of us. I'm so excited to end the show and get on with the rest of my life. Yeah. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and, of course, thefirstrun.com itself. As always, love to hear from you. Feedback at thefirstrun.com. Now we could start the theme song. Mm-hmm. Have a good weekend.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
That was my Roy Moore thing.
Yeah.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's bust her out. Matt, it's Chris Scalzer here. That's my old buddy Matt Howell here on the First Run Focus. Clearly tripping up over my own intro. Yeah. On this episode of The Focus, we're going to discuss episodes 8?
Yeah.
Episodes 8 of Stranger Things Season 2 and Mindhunter Season 1. Matt, there's a lot going on this week. I think the big thing for me is last week we were so Stranger Things has got its foot down finally, pedal to the metal. This thing's finally gonna come together and take off, and then boom, dog leg, hard left turn. We find out what's been happening with 11, where she's been for an episode or so, and it basically sucks all the momentum out of this. Right, the air is out of the balloon, Matt. I'm not as excited now. Like, oh, that's right. Now let's go back to Stranger Things and see what's going on with everybody else. And Matt, I got to tell you, pedal right back to the metal. That first dip of that roller coaster, the longest one, hits for me this episode. Part of me now thinks, you know what, Chris, you're an idiot. Because even though maybe the episode that we focus on episode 7 may have been a little underwhelming, maybe it helped build up the anticipation for me. You must be excited now, Matt, because you could finally start watching the show again.
Finally, seriously, dude. God.
And then here we are. Everything is coming apart, Matt, where everybody's trapped at the lab, though there's a group, of course, of the people working their way towards the lab because they see that the Demodogs have all made their way there because not only to take out the soldiers, but the opening's getting larger and everybody in the lab is being hunted down by the Demodogs. Am I saying that right? The Demodog, isn't that what he says? Demodogs? Demodogs. So... Yeah. I'm telling you, Matt, though, strong episode for me here. And here's the big thing, too, that I've been struggling with. So they turned Steve around, right? Like teaming him up with Dustin. I think that has been one of it was your favorite part of the season so far. and I have to follow with you and say that I agree with that. Do you think that they were able to turn around Billy this week? Because physical abuse can do that, right? I mean, when it makes him more of a person because he has an encounter with his father, where his father gets violent with him. Now, of course, Billy being Max's stepbrother, the new, mysterious guy, and a character who I have not cared about an iota this entire season. But do you think they're going to turn around Billy for us?
I doubt it. I don't see how they have any really time for Billy. I mean, it's good that they're trying to flesh him out a little bit, but I still don't know where the hell they're going with him, and I don't really know what purpose he serves, other than just kind of like a human villain kind of lurking on the sidelines. Maybe he'll play a bigger role in future seasons, but right now, I guess they're just laying some groundwork, is all I can figure.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's good that he gets a little more dimension to him instead of just what we've been getting. But I think the big key for this thing is that we have a major loss.
We do.
How spoilery do we want to get?
It's been out for a while. Let's just go ahead and be spoilery. You've been fairly warned, audience.
That's right. So I've been going back and forth all season on two people. Paul Reiser.
Mm-hmm.
Is it what's his name? Paul Reiser from Aliens. What's his name?
Burke.
I kept saying Brock in my head. I knew that wasn't right. Is he Burke or is he My Two Dads, Paul Reiser? And I think we're much closer to the My Two Dads, Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
But the other one that I was nervous about was Sean Astin. I was concerned he was a plant, maybe to manipulate or keep an eye on Will. Well, that is clearly appears not to be the case.
Yep.
Bob saves the day, but we lose Bob.
We do. We lose Bob the Brain.
Did they just cast him to kill him? I feel like when I'm watching this thing now, like I feel lost. I feel there was a loss for the show. I don't know why. It's too bad. And here's the other thing, too, I'm thinking about, too. If I reverse engineer this, did Will kill Bob?
Geez, that's heavy. Well, he certainly led the soldiers into a trap. So I guess, in a way, bringing the demi-dogs to the surface and kind of attacking the facility in a roundabout way, I guess he did kill Bob.
No, am I overthinking this, though? Is it the shadow monsters inside Will? So it's like a separate entity that's controlling all this stuff? So maybe it's not fair to say that? It's not like Will hasn't been corrupted.
Right.
It's more the shadow monster in Will.
Right. And he's scared of the shadow monster, so he's doing it because he can't fight it.
Okay, so I feel a little bit better. That was a question I had. I was really like, wow, did Will kill him? So I don't know. I felt like when losing Bob, though, it felt like, oh no, it's like Coral, on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've. Oh wait, I don't know how far you are in The Walking Dead. I should probably not have said that.
That's all right. It's fine.
Coral. Anyway, yeah. So. Wow, I feel bad. I just ruined that for you.
No, that's okay. I'm honestly, I'm all set with The Walking Dead.
I felt that way too. I watched season finale, Matt, and I'm like, I think I might be good.
Yeah.
I think I might be done. I might actually be done with this show. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Stranger Things. So I know we had last week with Elle wondering what's Eleven's there. So when's Eleven going to make her appearance in this episode? And you knew they were waiting for it.
Yeah.
And the way they deliver it too, I'm like, baby, that's an entrance right there.
That was. Music swells, I don't want to wait when they come in. But I was waiting for it to start playing. But I mean, she makes an entrance, and I'm really interested to see how this all plays out. And I mean, and it's interesting. It's really interesting that they kept her on the sideline so much because she's so powerful that she probably could have solved this in a single episode if she was with everybody, I mean,
maybe that's partly why they had to pull her out. Yeah. But it's good. I think it's good that we finally are going to get the team together. It's been 8 episodes.
Yeah, getting the band back together. Yeah,
and it makes me wonder too, what happens to these kids? Do you just lead a normal life after this? Do they go to college? I feel like this is going to destroy their lives.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, but kids are resilient. Maybe they'll be all right. We'll see. We'll see how this goes.
I guess it's not like not Nana died in front of them. This is real forces of darkness type stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, fine.
Fair enough.
A couple observations from me and references. I think I may have missed some, Matt, but you can tell me. Stand By Me when they're all walking on the train tracks. Yeah, I think is one. The zombies eating Bob. That's what I thought of when the Demodogs are eating him. The way that shot was done.
Right.
I thought was very much an homage for Romero. And I think that's about it for references. I love the discussion between Hopper and the kids about the game. It's a kid's game. No, it's a manual.
Yeah.
It's just a game. So, and everybody loves a good montage to synth music.
Yeah.
I thought that was always good. And that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, the strongest episode of the season.
Yeah.
Because I guess stuff happens. But it is good that we finally get 11 back. And now we got one episode left, Matt. It's going to be all out craziness. But I'm looking forward to it. What else? Any other thoughts on episode 8 here?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. This is kind of what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been complaining about, and they're bringing everything back together, which is exactly where we want it to be. So, like I said, I think this is one of the strongest episodes of the season so far. I wasn't really paying attention. I kind of fell down on the job with the references, but the whole thing with Bob, kind of going through the maze, it was very, again, the alien references continue. It kind of harkened back to the whole,
right.
Dallas in the tunnels trying to find the alien. It was kind of the same kind of thing. So, but it was great. I was trying to pick up Goonies references. There were references that there were things that Sean Astin would say. I'm like, God, that is from something, but I could not place it and I couldn't find it on the internet. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just making stuff up at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they did, though, just like they did with Coral in Walking Dead. I think looking back, they telegraph Bob's death.
Yeah.
Because he gets out of a scrape or two. There's little things, that I think that they always, that's like The Walking Dead is really notorious with that, with just kind of giving this character the episode they're going to die, this big arc or this big moment,
right?
And then having them be in a moment where they almost die, and then at the end, boom, they get taken out anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and Coral isn't technically dead. The episode ends, Matt, with him showing a bite mark. But it's on his chest, so
okay.
Can't cut that out.
Yeah, that's very true. Well, just put some peroxide on it.
There you go.
Peroxide on it, it'll be good.
Coral.
All
right. I really feel this whole this half season of The Walking Dead was just recycling the last season.
Yeah,
with just a little twist of it where maybe there's hope. That's really been all it's been.
Yeah. I meant it when I said I'm all set with The Walking Dead. I haven't watched any this season. I finished last season and I was like, okay, I'm done. This is just stupid.
I may have hit that point.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Let's move on to Mindhunter. Mindhunter. So Matt, what happens in Mindhunter this week? You want to lay it down, or are you comfortable with that?
Sure. So Holden, the big thing that happens in this week is Holden makes a visit to a school, and traumatizes some young kids, talks about how they should be on the lookout for antisocial behavior and future serial killers of America. And then he gets convinced that the principal is a pedophile, and he kind of gets wrapped up in this whole seeing things that aren't there, which I think we had alluded to earlier. And it's certainly weird behavior, but he kind of, tries to make something out of this, and nobody really kind of wants to go along with him, and not even really a lot of support from his colleagues. And it's kind of a derail from what they've been doing with the serial killers, but it's kind of showing his Holden state of mind, where he's starting to see, things that are sinister everywhere, and he's starting to see, things that are. He's really getting deep into this stuff, and it's really starting to consume him, which I think is where they're trying to go with the character.
I agree with you entirely. I think that's it. First off, is there a creepier phrase than nickels for tickles?
Yeah, seriously. Here's
the crazy thing. I think he's right.
Yeah, I think he's right too. Yeah.
We have the ability to look in retrospect, given this day and time, to know that doing something like that is highly inappropriate.
Right. Yes, it is.
But this is back at a time, things were different back then, where the parents would always, whatever the teacher said was gospel, and so that's what happened. And if they gave their kid a whack, then that's okay. This is a different time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's totally. It's bleeding into Holden's relationships too. He's having issues with his girlfriend, clearly, which comes to a bit of a head. We'll have to see what happens with that, because there's a rather sad scene for him there. But I agree with you. I think he's been wound pretty tight, and he seems to be slipping a bit, losing his composure every now and then. But it's I think Tench is right. That this stuff's really starting to get to him.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the case of the the tickling principle. I kind of wanted a little more resolution. I wanted him to nail him. You know, I really wanted him to kind of, and there really isn't. He kind of they give him a warning.
Yeah,
say, listen, we're watching you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but that's basically it. They're also interviewing people to bring to the team. Yeah. I think there's a great little scene when they're interviewing one of them, and one of the candidates is black, and they basically Holden makes the argument that they can't hire him because of that.
Right.
But it's not a racist. It's not a racist thing by the team. It's more that most of the serial killers are white.
Right.
They tend to be racist,
right.
Which means they wouldn't open up to them.
Right.
Which is what they're doing.
Right.
And it's just kind of funny how that whole dynamic happens when they're having that discussion. Mm-hmm. And I wonder too about this new guy who's clearly a bit of a mole or something for the director.
Yeah, he seems like a yes man.
So we'll have to see if that turns into anything. But overall, for me, a strong episode. I think Brutos as our killer, who continues to deny anything, but there's a couple moments where he kind of slips and talks about stuff. So still, as we say every week, Matt, the show is not as good without good old Eddie Kemper.
It's not. It really is. They've really set the bar way too high at the beginning. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. But
still, we got a couple episodes left. Only one episode left of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how this turns out. I feel like with Mindhunter 2, I don't think we're going to get. There hasn't been really an overarching arc for the first season.
Right.
Right. We got 2 episodes left. I'm not expecting any type of resolution of anything because I don't really know anything that needs to be resolved.
Right.
Outside of maybe Holden's personal issues, which I confess I don't care that much about.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
So,
yeah. We'll see.
All right. So I dropped the ball on this, Matt, regarding to grades. Let's start with Mindhunter. Give me a grade on Mindhunter this week.
I'll give it a B+, and I think partly just because the whole Nichols for Tickles storyline made me very uncomfortable, and I don't know if it was a good storyline and it was necessary, but still creepy.
Yeah, I gave it a B, so I'm right with you. And then of course, Stranger Things.
I'd say A-, not perfect, but it's really getting us right back in the right direction.
Yeah, I gave it an A myself. So there you go. Awesome. Good conversation. Mm-hmm. So next week we're going to wrap up Stranger Things, and do you want to? We'll have to discuss this off air, but we'll give everybody a little mystery. You can start thinking about it now. Just do next week and wrap them both up. You want to try and get 2 episodes in a Mindhunter, or do you want to just do one and then just one more episode of the focus with just Mindhunter?
Okay, I'll think about that.
You think about that. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. We're also there at that same website. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and the YouTubes. Just do a search, scroll. You eventually will find us. And that's it. That's going to be the big show this week, folks. And we will see you all soon.
Now talk is cheap.